And let's bring now Thania Dhoogra in from the N3 Toll Concession. Thania, you know, we spoke earlier this weekend when it looked like traffic was fairly slow and not a lot of people on the roads. And then this horrific accident just happening in the last 3 hours. Mark Winterboer of Midlands EMS telling us 40 cars at least involved, 100 patients, 3 fatalities at least, 5 people still trapped in their cars. This is just absolutely horrific. Is there anything you can add from your perspective on what actually happened around this accident and what caused it?
Unfortunately not, Sally. It's not an incident scene that's on the N3 toll route itself. It's obviously affecting the feeder onto the N3 toll route. So we don't have any direct information from the scene, so nothing much that I can add in terms of the cause or what's involved in there. What I can advise at this stage that has been communicated to us by the authorities is that they are advising road users to please delay their travel to the area if possible, to give them an opportunity to try and clear the scene as quickly as possible, and also to appeal to motorists who are traveling on the southbound side to please try and give way to emergency services vehicles who are making their way to the scene, because obviously there is quite a bit of congestion in the area and we need to get those emergency services vehicles to that scene as quickly as possible so that they can attend to the injured, but also to remove the vehicles from the scene so that they can reopen the highway. And lastly, obviously, because of the weather and visibility, to please also appeal to those motorists to make sure that they are traveling past that scene as quickly as possible, but as safely as possible, adhering to the speed limits, and please avoiding any of that rubbernecking, because we really want to avoid any secondary collisions.
Sorry, Thania, I wonder if you could just explain to us. So this is not officially part of the N3 toll concession. Is it before your toll concession begins?
Yes, it's on the section just south of Sadara interchange, so in the vicinity of Hilton, which is just before the start of the N3 toll road. We start at Sadara interchange and extend all the way to Heidelberg South.
All right. So in terms of people who are perhaps desperate to travel as soon as possible, they can then get onto the area, post Sadara? Are there workaround routes that can be taken?
There are some alternative routes, but at this stage, it's really difficult for me to comment on the state of those roads. I do know that they are not suitable for heavy motor vehicles, so please to just remind truck drivers and any other heavy vehicles to please avoid those areas and stay off there. They will be turned around because it's unsafe for them and for their fellow motorists. But also at this stage, you know, with it being nightfall now, and it just tends to lend itself to more dangerous driving conditions. We'd rather appeal to motorists to please take it easy, rather go for the safe option of delaying their travel if at all possible and avoiding the area.
Yeah, and also it seems there were misty conditions earlier today. Can you give us a sense of what the weather is going to be like on the N3 toll concession?
Well, the latest report we had was that it has been misty in the area around Sadara, extending all the way to Moy River. And from there, it's been overcast for the rest of the route. We did have slight section of rain earlier today, but for the most part, that's cleared up and it's overcast. But as you're aware, the weather services have been forecasting isolated thunder showers and thunderstorms and rainy weather along most of the KwaZulu-Natal area, the Free State and Gauteng. And that's likely that might still set in during the course of this evening. It's also getting a bit colder now, and with that and the drop in temperature, it's likely that we will see some, poorer visibility on the route.
Talk to me about traffic volumes this weekend on the N3. Have they been lower than previous Easters?
They were definitely lower in the build-up. What we did see today was that we saw traffic in excess of 2,200 vehicles an hour. In fact, in the last hour, we were still seeing that kind of volumes at the De Hoek Plaza. We were anticipating that we would see those kinds of significant volumes until about 6 o'clock in the evening today, with traffic easing up but continuing on the route until about 9 p.m. Obviously, because of this crash, that's impacted on people's ability to move. But we have still seen quite a significant volume on the route. So as I said, not as high as we've experienced before.
And can you comment, obviously you can only talk about the N3 Toll Concession area, but in terms of accidents on those stretches of road that you are in charge of, have there been more or less accidents on that stretch of road?
Well, what we've noted is that this weekend we had fewer incidents, and also the severity of the incidents were fortunately much less severe. So we actually did not have anything that caused any significant disruption to flow of traffic the entirety of this weekend. This is really good.
Yeah, so that's certainly on the N3 toll concession area, as Thania has explained. Of course, this is not exactly where this horrific accident has taken place. This accident taking place just before the N3 toll concession kicks in. And what we do know is that the southbound N3 route into Durban is open, but the north remains closed. Over 40 cars involved, at least 3 fatalities at this time, and there's still a lot of action on that scene. So there is a high chance it will be many hours before that northbound route is reopened.